So this first new feature I want to show you in this update is one I've wanted to do for a long time. It's a really exciting one to me. You can now export what's called a project. And a project is like a snapshot of your entire RSpec workspace. You can come back to it later and import it. So let's take a look at some projects that I previously exported. Here on the File menu, I select Import Project. We'll use some sample projects that this update of RSpec puts in this folder. And as I said, these are projects I previously exported. To start, let's open this M-type star. So what happened when I imported that project? Well, RSpec opened the image. We can see its name here. It also positioned the orange measure lines to where they were when the project was exported. We can also see here that the x-axis is calibrated in angstroms. In other words, RSpec also applied the calibration that was in effect when the project was exported. So you see all these labels? Of course, they're from the appearance screen. When I imported this project, RSpec populated these labels here on the appearance screen. Let's look at another example. This time I'll click File and then Import Recent to import a project I previously imported on my computer. This project contains an A-type star. Let's take a look. Wow, once again, it got the image, the orange lines, the wavelength calibration, and all of these labels. Very cool. So what does an RSpec project contain? Well, we've seen it contains an image, the orange lines, the wavelength calibration, and the appearance data. Additionally, when you export a project, RSpec also includes any subtract background settings and any binning settings. It also exports any rotation and slant tilt you may have in effect. If the histogram screen is open, when you export a project, it too is exported. And if this correct for instrument response window is open, RSpec exports the file and its settings in any project. To see a list of all the items that export includes, see the Recent Changes menu. Projects exported from RSpec do not, however, contain a .dat or 1D fits file that you may have opened over here. Similarly, this blue reference graph from the reference library is not included in an exported project. So you can see that exporting a project is like a snapshot of your workspace, so you can come back to it later. I think you'll find this really useful.